Hello, this is Ring Salmon. This is Body Salmon with Daniel Vale, and I am your host, Daniel Vale. The one negative aspect, maybe not negative, but the one challenging aspect, at the moment, with my dad coming in on weekends or coming in on Sundays and staying until Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, is not watching a full show. I'm not watching the full Monday Night Raw show. However, the little bit I saw, I would have to say, that's why I always put on the, or not the audio, but because I was about to say audio, I don't always put on the audio unless I feel the need to for y'all to hear something. So that's why I put on the audio is usually because I feel like y'all need to hear it because I didn't know how to talk about it. Well, so I will say this. Sorry. It's one of those impeccable moments. Hello, I'm back. As I recall, I wanted to talk about Raw from this past Monday, and I was just listening to Blessed Open Radio with Bully Ray Dudley and his co-host, and I always forget his co-host's name. They actually did in one episode what I did, what I do sometimes when I want. Oh, I'm sorry, I already mentioned that in this episode already. They were playing an audio from a show they were talking about, just to let everybody out there know what they're referring to. And I had no idea, but I knew that Seth Rollins started Monday Night Raw. I had no idea that he was in the ring in the beginning of Monday Night Raw. Which, that actually shows how serious they are about starting and ending on time. Because this lasted about, 4 or 5 minutes maybe? And then they went to commercial and they came back. And I liked how he kept on calling after Rollins had challenged Corbin to a tables, ladders, and chairs match. And he kept on I liked how he called him a coward like 10 or 15 times before Corbin accepted. Then he said, alright, then he let him know that he was going to have to put up the title in the match. And throughout the night after that, Michael Cole kept on saying for the first time in 6 years. So, out of curiosity, because of remembering last time I saw a TLC match for a title on Raw, I remembered that it was Jerry Lawler going against The Miz, the week after The Miz won the WWE title. And I did not really know, but it felt like it was longer than 6 years. Sure enough, I was right. It was actually 7 years ago when Jerry Lawler went against The Miz in a tables, ladders, and chairs match on Raw for the WWE title, and at the time I think it was only 2 hours. So talk about a big difference. First match was a 3-on-2 match, where this time for the tag team titles, they announced, they announced that Bobby Roode and Chad Gable get their shot at the tag team titles against AOP with Drake Maverick. This time, they let Drake Maverick take part in the match, and out comes Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. They actually designed a matching robe for Gable. I was actually thinking that it was not going to last, this partnership, but being that they designed a robe for him, they have long-term plans for this. It's amazing to me. Speaking of Chad Gable, his tag team, his first ever tag team partner, Jason Jordan, it hasn't been set in stone yet, but about 85%, but from the reports, looks like 85% of the people that are reporting, it looks like Jason Jordan hurt his neck and will be out permanently, and go from wrestling to being an agent in the future. So he'll still be employed by the WWE, possibly. But at this moment, we're not really sure. And the people who are reporting on this are not even sure what the other half of American Alpha is going to do in the future. It is worth noting, though, that that Chad Gable's on the same show as that Jason Jordan was on, so it's very interesting to see what might happen if Jordan is cleared to return. The only thing I saw from this show, Monday night, was the women's segment with Nia Jax and Tamina. The only disappointing thing was that they didn't have the announced press conference with Alexa Bliss. The reason that's disappointing to me is that was my main thing to look forward to. I looked forward more to that than anything because I didn't know what else was happening. They show a replay of Gable and Roode doing a double hip toss to Drake Maverick, throwing him over the top rope onto AOP. It was really amazing to see in slow motion. AOP might have had about 40% of this match dominated in the entire match, but the mistake was tagging in Drake Maverick, their manager. Tagged him in, crucifix cover by Roode onto Drake Maverick, and they lose the tag team titles. So I'd say that was a great, not only a great match, but a great decision. Ruby Riott saying that Natalya needs a therapist. I thought that was ridiculous. I also think it's ridiculous for Ruby Riott she not only had a problem with Natalya, but she has a problem with any second or third generation star like Natalya because she feels like they have everything handed to them. And I was just saying how we just ended up, me and Mom yesterday, I believe, so ended up having a discussion where Mom had mentioned somebody that she knew that didn't have to show up to work and they automatically had pay like WCW people used to do. And reminded me of the story of how Scott Hall was offered money, and they didn't disclose the amount. They only disclosed how many days he had to work. And saying how, and I really believe that's not selling out. I believe it's doing what you have to do to feed your family. So that's why I understood totally why they did what they did at the time. But anyway, talking about, it sounds like, to me, like they don't, people like Ruby Riott in real life, not the character, but people that act like the character Ruby Riott, who get upset anytime somebody has a foot in the door. They don't realize how they just have a foot in the door in the industry itself faster than these stars that have children, like for instance Natalia's father and uncle. Well, even so, if it wasn't for Natalia's grandfather training her father and uncles, they would not have gotten in. Well, guys like Ric Flair and his best friend Arn Anderson, they had to come up $500, and it was hard to come up with at the time. Today, some people get 10% more than that. They have an easier sometimes they have an easier way of getting it and getting trained for it. So that's why I said to my mom how I felt like they really have no reason to fuss, because it's easier to get into a school than it used to be. Now I'm just talking about it just in general talk. What I like is how they've been playing or showing on TV, on Raw and SmackDown Live TV, on the screen. They've been showing facts about the superstars, like right here, Finn Balor actually started in his first match at the age of 18. Relocated from Ireland to Japan to hone his skills in the Far East. He did that for so long that the only way I heard about him was actually him being in NXT. Then they were letting everybody know at the end that it's him versus Drew McIntyre this Sunday at TLC. So I like when they show that. A lot of times we go through life where we wonder, why are people able to do things we're not? And I gotta tell you the truth. A lot of people don't like to hear about religion or God, or they don't mind hearing it as long as they don't offer it as an answer. But here is my answer. God has a purpose for each and every one of us. People that make it in things like acting and wrestling and everything, I always have to remind myself personally that it's not about who's able to do what, it's about, is it in God's will? Now, obviously, but this podcasting thing is in God's will, so I try not to fuss. And I say try because when I get so frustrated that when I start to doubt myself, sometimes I can't help but fuss because I don't know if I'm good enough at this. Sometimes I feel like that's the only thing I can do is fuss. Because I don't realize that I'm doing the best. It's not as bad as it used to be because I use a microphone, and I made the mistake of thinking when I started that using a microphone was not necessary. Well, using a built-in one, right here on Spreaker, on the Spreaker studio right here, I can see it's very needed. So I have to say thank you to Glenn Moore for suggesting it. And by the way, it's not set in stone yet, but very soon I'm hoping for the Pulse Podcast Network to add to add this podcast onto it. And it's very exciting to me. I know that some people might think it might be a better idea to save my next line or my next statement for Patreon, but I just realized something very important. I don't know how long I would need to do this for Patreon. I know that a regular video would be an hour, but I don't know if you have to record an hour for an extra show. What I do know, as I thought about it to myself yesterday, is that I started something, not just here on Spreaker, but I had started it on Patreon too. Breaking down matches. Well, I think it's perfect for what I'm about to talk for my... I think that instead of having a response, I think that because of how long watching full-length episodes and comparing them to each other can be, I'm going to start doing Patreon episodes of the Monday Night Ratings War. Especially when it's time to talk about the pay-per-views. I said I was going to do this for an hour. So let me state that. I said I was going to talk about the pay-per-view in your house Wednesday, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to watch that after I finish talking about Raw and SmackDown Live, and then I'll talk as a bonus episode after I set the tier. I really don't... Excuse me. I think $5 is the cheapest that I can offer first. So I'm gonna set a tier for $5. The option is what the offering is gonna be for me to not only talk about Raw versus Nitro, but what I will do is talk is offer I don't know how much y'all like for me to break down matches and storylines, but I'm gonna offer to y'all as an extra talk about at least for as long as the video, as long as it talk for as long as it takes for me to talk about to break down matches. I will let y'all pick my okay. I don't know if I can offer this outside of the $5, but what I will do is I will let y'all okay. You can do this regardless of the $5, of paying $5, but what I would like to offer y'all to do is do a live Q&A with me. Of course, that wouldn't be a bonus video, but okay, never mind about that. I'll think of this through, and then I'll come back and I'll do a bonus episode of Spreaker talking about this. I'll get back to my main topic. Drew McIntyre solidified his breaking out on his own by going against Dolph Ziggler, beating him, and then assaulting him after the match was over. And he said his purpose in the WWE is still is harping on breaking complacency. And really, no, I gotta be honest, it's not for him to do, it's not just for him to do it, because there's an entire show on Tuesday nights that can be just as complacent. So even though it's needed and even though it's interesting, it's not something for him to take credit for ending, if he's able to end it. The next thing that was interesting was Dean Ambrose being asked about Roman Reigns, how he would feel if he was on Raw instead of having to take treatments for leukemia coming back, and he actually had the nerve to ask, "Who cares?" And she showed a replay of everything that transpired after Reigns announced his leukemia coming back, and he still didn't say anything. So it just helped build to the Sunday's match with Seth Rollins more. Then they announced that Lio Rush is going against Elias. They reminded everybody before this how after Rhino lost a career-threatening match, no, not a career-threatening match, a job-threatening match to Heath Slater, how Slater was relegated to being a referee instead of a wrestler. And he was actually in charge of this match. And when Lashley interfered in the match, this actually, and it not only upset my dad, but kept shade on. This is why I don't watch this. And then it upset me too, because this didn't make any sense. You're a referee, you know that being a wrestler yourself, you know that if you were to if your friend was to come in from the back, you would get disqualified. So why didn't you call for the bell? They claimed that it was him just being intimidated by Lashley. So it ended up counting for the 3. I honestly believe that them using Leo Rush or any cruiserweight wrestler from 205 Live on Raw, I really believe using any not underutilized cruiserweight wrestler, but any cruiserweight wrestler that might not be used in a main storyline on 205 Live, I believe that that would be the answer would be using them on Raw and SmackDown Live, because you'd be showcasing them. I had said 2-3 years ago when they started 205 Live in the network, I believed the mistake was not not putting the cruiserweight talent on TV. I remember when they first had cruiserweights, the cruiserweight division was on SmackDown, and that was actually the best action on SmackDown, and that was the best, and just like in WCW, that was actually the best wrestling in WWE, period. And if they hadn't have split the 2 shows like they did, it would have been twice as popular and twice as great, like it was in WCW. Next, I had Nia talk about her hitting, punching Becky Lynch, and then saying what she planned on doing this Sunday. Ronda Rousey. Rousey came out and said she was not there to talk but to fight. Ember Moon came out because she had a match with Snuka. And Ember Moon, not only did she win the match against Tamina Snuka, it always surprises me to see this from Ronda, because we know she's not strawweight, to use her background, which is an MMA. We know she's not strawweight, but to do this to somebody of Nia Jax's stature is a big deal. She pushed Nia Jax and actually pushed her over the barricade, whereas a lot of that could have been Nia Jax helping her. It didn't look like it was. That was the amazing part. So it's going to be really interesting, especially after reading the possibility of Fox, possibility of the WWE moving Ronda Rousey to SmackDown Live because of the move to Fox Sports or Fox, whatever station it is, this time next year. Actually, this time next year they would have already been on Fox, so for October of next year. So this next year is going to be really exciting. I don't believe they've had WWE on Fox since around the late 90s or early 2000s, so it's really exciting to see. That, of course, was in the days of having weekend shows, which they don't have anymore, so even more interesting. And what Lashley was able to do to help Leo Rush win his match against Elias was hit Elias in his back like he did to Leo Rush last week with his guitar. So because of that, they did this. They did something similar to this in 2003, I believe, in a Wednesday night pay-per-view in TNA Wrestling. In a 10-man tag team match, they put a guitar on a pole, and whoever got the guitar and used it over their opponent would win the match. So that they just took that. I don't even think they even took the idea from TNA. I just think they thought it was time to do it. So for the first time in history, they're going to suspend the guitar in midair, and you're gonna climb the ladder to retrieve the guitar and use it as a weapon between Elias and Lashley. And in the main event of Raw, they had Heath Slater be referee again. I think, Seth hit Heath by mistake, so Heath pushed the ladder forward to get back at him. So he said the next day, I believe in an interview, Heath Slater said the next day that was their way of turning him heel as a referee. So, very interesting to see what they're going to do next. I don't think they had a heel referee since WCW days. First it was Nick Patrick in the NWO. Then, when he counted the pinfall to help, not to help, but when he counted a pinfall to make Diamond Dallas Page the winner, they kicked him out of the NWO. So put him back as a regular referee. Then they had their own referee. Then Charles Robinson became Ric Flair's referee. So I don't think I've seen that for over 20 years. Or close to 20 years. Then Baron Corbin, I think because Seth Rollins giving him the frog splash through the table, no. He gave him a frog splash through the table, and that's when Heath Slater turned on him. Then he gave, I'm trying to remember, he gave Baron Corbin the buckle bomb through the table, and it happened to be against the turnbuckles, against the corner of the turnbuckle. Then he might hit Slater with the right hand or super kick. He's actually apologizing to Seth. Seth doesn't buy it, super kicks him in the face. Baron Corbin is crawling, so he sets up the curb stomp, and he hits him right in the middle, or right by the ladder is, climbs up, and he retrieves the title and keeps the title. This might be a longer reign for Seth as Intercontinental Champion than it was before he lost the title to Dolph Ziggler. Really interesting stuff. I'm going to try my hardest to make sure this doesn't go to an hour. I actually forgot that that it didn't go to. I forgot that it didn't hit Don't Delete on DVR, so it didn't go to the beginning of the show. It wasn't at the beginning of the show. I think I'm going to have to hit don't delete again. Um, okay, I know I didn't delete SmackDown Live, so I'm kind of... Okay, good. It's right here. Before I actually talk about the actual matches... Oh, yeah. Don't really... I actually have to talk about the first match because it's so interesting to me. This week, they've been really using the cruiserweights the right way. Like, I don't know what they're going to do tonight on 2-5 Live, but they used Leo Rush Monday night, which was probably, which I actually, that's what I would call a glorified filler match, because he didn't stand a chance against Elias, but it's still using him as a good sign. Then, at the beginning of SmackDown Live, they had Mustafa Ali go against Daniel Bryan, which he showed in that match how great he is, so I like that. He hit the Spanish Fly, and I can't really describe that. It could be considered a top rope, actually, I don't know I don't really know what anybody has ever called this move, so I can't describe it. It looks like you're about to go for a flatliner, but you do a flip in midair. So that's what a that's what a Spanish Fly is. He was really great to see. I would say the great best part of the match was how Bryan set up the move, set up his second submission hold that he uses to win, the heel hook. Used that on Big Cass before they released Big Cass, and he set it up by doing the old-fashioned leg against the rope routine, and he used it on that specific leg, and he ended up winning. So I'd say it's great. That was a great match, but what I gotta be honest, this is something I cannot watch. Not because being ridiculous or anything, but just because I'm feeling embarrassed for the characters. And that is, they had the Bar go against the Usos in a rap battle. And I'm not sure who won the rap battle. I'm pretty sure it was the Usos, because the Bar assaulted both the Usos and the New Day. I don't even think they had an official winner in this. And it was a great way, though, to set up their triple threat tag team title match this Sunday night. And then next week, Monday, Tuesday, and I'm about to find out what day is the third night. They have a special show for New Day, and it's Pancake Powered Year-End Super Spectacular. So next week for their holiday week, Monday is Raw, Tuesday SmackDown Live, next Thursday Tribute to the Troops. That's great. By the way, Tribute to the Troops might have Roman Reigns appear, so I'm really looking forward to that. The next segment that was really good, which turned into a match, was The Miz holding the Best in the World Cup tournament and begging Shane to be his partner. He said okay, and Shane actually wrestled the entire match by himself. Yes, I'm doing my podcast. Okay, good. Hello, I'm back. I just had to pause because my mom needed to tell me something. Okay. So they had a Vegas team come out. Shane McMahon wrestled this entire match by himself, and these guys, well, of course they had to do a sneak attack to start the match. It's the only offense they had against Shane McMahon. These two are what I think we call jobbers. Shane McMahon made one of the guys tap out to, I think we call this a triangle choke. And they even aired a backstage segment where they playing to Paige about it. I gotta be honest, because Shane McMahon is commissioner, I don't know if they have a leg to stand on in this. I'm gonna air the audio like Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray Dudley do when they talk about the shows.
At you right now. I can't believe you went out and did that. What were you thinking? Exactly. I should fire you right now. You can't just randomly referee a match without my consent, especially with the commissioner.
Paige, he said you sanctioned the match. Who's the Miz?
Okay, we're gonna say no, shush, shut your mouth, shush. What? What's this?
It's our invoice.
For what?
Miz said, because of our effort, you agreed $5,000 each.
$5,000 each. That was ridiculous. Okay, Randy Orton comes out next to plug or to build his chairs match with Mysterio this Sunday. Mysterio comes out. He actually gets the better of Randy Orton. Throws the chair to Randy Orton, drop kicks it straight into his face. Sets him a straight, perfect setup for the 619. Gets it. The next match to build a... Actually, I don't really know what it is. What it's to build to, but it's Jeff Hardy and Rusev versus Samoa Joe and the U.S. Heavyweight Champion Nakamura. Before that, they say a superstar fact about Naomi, how before becoming a superstar in the WWE, she started as a dancer for a hip-hop star, Flo Rida, and was a cheerleader for the Orlando Magic. She released her first single titled Dance All Night in May 4 years ago. So that's interesting to see, to read about. Hardy and Rusev, hopefully this will build into something bigger in the future. They beat Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura. Be honest with you, being that they put both Raw and SmackDown matches together on pay-per-view, I think they should make Samoa Joe versus Jeff Hardy and a U.S. heavyweight title match for the pre-show this Sunday. Rusev hits Shinsuke Nakamura with the Machka kick for the win. And they air a commercial for the next mixed match challenge matches, and then they have AJ Styles talk about Daniel Bryan. But what was really interesting was how the main event, WrestleMania rematch between Charlotte and Asuka, ended with Charlotte using a kendo stick. Then at the end, it was Asuka standing tall with the kendo stick herself. And I think she used it against both Lynch and Flair. And as I think about it, I believe Charlotte being in this match, I believe this is officially, it's not only the first ever female TLC, but she's the first ever second generation female star to not only be in this type of match, but to also her father be in the same match himself is what's the biggest deal about this. So that's what I wanted to. So that's what I wanted to say about Raw and SmackDown Live from this week, and I think I just figured out what to offer y'all. I, like many people, enjoy Ring of Honor and MLW Fusion and New Japan. So for Patreon episodes, when I do an episode of Raw vs. Nitro, I'm going to do a breakdown of 2 matches just to show how important the differences in the 2 matches were, or the differences in 2 people and the stories were. Because I think that makes it interesting. Now, I don't know if y'all would pay $5 for that, but that is something that I would like to do. So I'll set that up soon. And I'll share the link Patreon on my Twitter account @DanielVale. Thank you. Goodbye.